Hello, this is a Talking Heads video about environmental issues in the church. I'm Jenny Gage, I'm the Minister for Social Justice at Ely Cathedral and also involved in environmental and social justice work in Ely Diocese.
And I'm David Newton, I'm Vicar in the Lordsbridge team of parishes. We are both part of the Diocesan Environmental Task Group that is leading efforts across the diocese in our attempt to become more environmentally friendly and lead on environmental issues.
You may wonder why all of this matters in church circles. The fifth mark of mission for the Anglican Communion for the Church of England is to strive to safeguard the integrity of creation and sustain and renew the life of the earth. We believe very strongly that this is God's earth, God's creation, and that part of our worship, part of our discipleship is very much about caring for all of God's creation. In February 2020, the Church of England's General Synod passed a motion committing the Church of England to do all it could to be carbon neutral by the year 2030. In June of 2021, the Ely Diocesan Synod signed up to this as something we also would strive to do.
So we want to have a little think about what we might do in our churches, to confront the huge issues facing us today in terms of the biodiversity crisis and in terms of climate change. There are 5 areas that we would encourage you to think about. They are worship, your churchyards if you have them, buildings, discipleship within the life of the church, and campaigning in your local area and to the central government. So first of all, on worship, well, you might well want to think about how you can put creation care matters right into your seasonal worship. You might want to commission a creation care champion. You might want to engage in Creation Tide that runs throughout September. In terms of churchyards, you might want to think about how to increase your biodiversity within the churchyard, leaving areas unmown, how you might lead an education campaign in your churchyard about the importance of biodiversity. You might want to engage in the Wildlife Trust Conservation Awards that they offer. In terms of your buildings, you might want to think about how you can increase the carbon efficiency of your buildings, as well as switching electricity to 100% renewable, and indeed in time looking to changing your heating systems. The practical guide to net zero on the Church of England website is a useful place to start. In terms of discipleship, you're encouraged to think about leading courses or setting up groups that look at issues of sustainable living, and encouraging households within the church to think about biodiversity, to think about reducing their own carbon footprints. And then finally, on campaigning. As a church, you might wish to join the various campaigns that there are on both a local and national level. Those are 5 areas that you might be able to think about: worship, churchyards, buildings, discipleship, and campaigning.
It can seem as if that's an awful lot. And indeed, if you follow the news, it can just feel completely overwhelming, as if this problem is way too huge and any little bit we do is going to be such a drop in the ocean, it's not even worth bothering with. That's almost as bad as saying that climate change isn't happening at all, because it just leads to doing nothing. And if all of us do nothing, then things will just go from bad to worse. And that's not what we should be doing if we are truly caring for God's creation. So we all have to do what we can, but we can't do everything all at once. Whether we're talking about churches or whether we're talking about ourselves as families, individuals, communities, we have to take it one step at a time. And so the important thing is to decide on 1 or 2 steps and do them. Simple, achievable things. And when they're done, move on to the next thing, and so on. And so we would suggest that as a starting point, you appoint a small group creation care group in your church. It might be a subgroup of the PCC, it might be a different group, whatever works for you. Register your church with EcoChurch on the A Rocha website and complete the initial survey. You'll see that set out in different sections, and there are bronze, silver and gold levels. You can see where you're up to already and what will be the next steps for you to take. Take your results to the PCC for discussion, and so that you set your future goals sensibly in a way that's going to work with the rest of your planning. And then as you're thinking about your development action plan, have a creation care action plan which feeds into it. Maybe it's part of it, maybe it's separate, but the things should work together. Avoid being overwhelmed by taking it just one step at a time. And don't feel that you're alone.
Well, if you're looking for help, then you can always get in touch with the Diocesan Environmental Task Group. And also on the website, there is a whole section about these issues now. And there is also on there the EcoChurch Parish Plan, the EcoChurch Parish Plan. We recommend that to you. Resources are on there, as well as more details about those 5 areas under which we can think and lead on these issues. Thanks for listening. All the best on your ventures in this area.